His Divine Grace Abhay Sharanarvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajkacharya Stotra Shata Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Grantaraj Shrimadbhagavatam Ki Hare Krishna. Welcome to the Asanananda Shrimadbhagavatam book reading from Canto 1, Chapter 10, Departure of Lord Krishna for Dwarka, Text 20. Let us start with invocation prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. Welcome to Devasadan Mandir Shrimadbhagavatam reading. Today we are reading from Canto 1 Shrimadbhagavatam, Chapter 10, Departure of Lord Krishna for Dwaraka, Text 20. Anyonyam Asit Sanjalpa Anyonyam Asit Sanjalpa Uttama Shloka Chetasam Uttama Shloka Chetasam Kauravendra Pura Strinam Kauravendra Pura Strinam Sarva Shruti Mano Hara Sarva Shruti Manohara Anyonyam Asit Sanjalpa Uttama Shloka Chetasam Kauravendra Pura Strinam Sarva Shruti Manohara. Please repeat.
Anyonyamasit Sanjalpa
Anyonyamasit Sanjalpa
Uttama Shloka Chetasam
Uttama Kauravendra Pura Strinam Sarva Shruti Manohara. Let us go word by word. Anyonyam, among each other. Asit, there was. Sanjalpa, talking. Uttama Shloka, the Supreme, who is praised by selected poetry. Chetasam, of those whose hearts are absorbed in that way. Kaurava Indra, the king of the Kurus. Pura, capital. Strinam, all the ladies. Sarva, all. Shruti, the Vedas. Manahara, attractive to the mind. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Translation. Absorbed in the thought of transcendental qualities of the Lord, who is sung in select poetry, the ladies on the roofs of all the houses of Hastinapura began to talk of him. This talk was more attractive than the hymns of Vedas. Please repeat. Absorbed in the thought of the transcendental qualities of the Lord, who is sung in select poetry, the ladies on the roofs of all the houses of Hastinapura began to talk of him. This talk was more attractive than the hymns of the Vedas. Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that in all the Vedic literatures, the goal is the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna. Factually, the glories of the Lord are depicted in such literature as the Vedas, Ramayana and Mahabharata. and in the Bhagavatam, they are specifically mentioned in respect to Supreme Lord. Therefore, while the ladies on the tops of houses in the capital of kings of Kuru dynasty were talking about the Lord, their talk was more pleasing than the Vedic hymns. Anything sung in the praise of Lord is Shruti Mantra. There are songs of Thakura Narottam Dasa, one of the Acharyas in Gaudiya Sampradaya, composed in simple Bengali language. But Thakura Vishwanatha Chakravarti, another very learned Acharya of the same Sampradaya, has approved the songs by Thakura Narottam Dasa to be as good as Vedic mantras. And this is so because of the subject matter. The language is immaterial, but the subject matter is important. The ladies, who are all absorbed in the thought and actions of the Lord, develop the consciousness of Vedic wisdom by the grace of the Lord. And therefore, although such ladies might not have been very learned scholars in Sanskrit or otherwise, still, whatever they spoke was more attractive than the Vedic hymns. The Vedic hymns in the Upanishads are sometimes indirectly directed to Supreme Lord, but the talks of the ladies were directly spoken of the Lord, and thus they were more pleasing to the heart. The ladies' talks appeared to be more valuable than the learned Brahmanas' benedictions. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsta Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamsta He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Krupa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Welcome to Shrimadbhagavatam book reading, Devasudan Mandir. Canto 1, Chapter 10, Text 20. Let us go through translation once again. Absorbed in the thought of transcendental qualities of the Lord, who is sung in select poetry, the ladies on the roofs of all houses of Hastinapura began to talk of him. This talk was more attractive than the hymns of Vedas. So, the other day we have seen it was being heard here and there that the benedictions being paid to Krishna were neither befitting nor unbefitting because they were all for the Absolute, who was now playing the part of a human being, as we see how Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, just as a being there as a normal human being, as a ruler of Dwaraka, but he is like Absolute Personality. And he is absolute and is aloof from this material world. So today, just by seeing Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ladies in the Hastinapura, like this women in the Hastinapura palace, they began to speak of him, which is more attractive than the Vedic mantras or Vedic hymns. So this was at the scene of when there was very deep emotional intense feelings experienced by the people who are in the Hastinapura palace when they heard that Krishna is departing to Dwaraka. So he was about to leave Hastinapura forever, and the entire city is overwhelmed by the separation that was caused by his departure. So we have also seen like how Uddhava and Satyaki are fanning the Lord, and all the other men were in very grief that Supreme Lord Krishna, who is very dear associate of them, is leaving their place, and all the elderly people are offering their blessings. And now the turn of ladies, like they were talking of Krishna, like glorifying Krishna, and that speaking about the pastimes of Krishna, who are on the rooftops. They were seeing from the rooftops and just by seeing Krishna, they were discussing among themselves about Krishna and his pastimes and all the leelas. And we see like they are just talking, or they were just discussing among themselves. They were not even performing a fire sacrifice or a Vedic recitation or ritual or a ritual or kind of worship, but they were just talking about Krishna, which is the like engaging our senses and the Lord. And by talking we are following like Kirtanam and Smaranam also. So these are the two main important aspects in the 9 steps of devotional service. And this also shows the highest proof of bhakti, which is far more superior, because their talk is more valuable than Vedic hymns for the Lord, and their emotion is far more superior than the scholarly recitation, and their love, which is very pure in their heart, is very immensely higher than the ritualistic austerities. So today we are going to discuss why the ladies or women's talk became higher than the Vedas, and why language does not define spiritual qualification, and how Krishna Katha makes ordinary people extraordinary, and how we should apply this verse daily in Kali Yuga. And so, to be specific, in breaking down the verse, Anyonyam is also can be termed as mutual exchange, and Uttama Shloka Chetasam is like refers to hearts absorbed in glorifying Krishna, and Sarva Shruti Manohara, their talk attracted even the Vedas themselves. How glorious the talk could be of Supreme Lord Krishna. Whenever and wherever there is Krishna Katha is happening, there Krishna is present, because his name, his form and his activities are not different from him, Lord Krishna, because he is the absolute. So we all know how Vedas are very much important for us, how Vedas are evolved through Krishna via Brahma, like he transferred the Vedic knowledge to first Brahma, and then from Brahma it's all disciplic succession, how the Vedas and how the knowledge has been transferred to all the other people, all the other living entities. And here Vedas are even attracted by Vedas, they themselves are attracted by devotees' speech, because devotees, they always engage in discussing the pastimes of and glories of Krishna, which is far, far superior than the Vedic knowledge. And anything sung in the praise of Lord is Shruti Mantra. The subject matters but not the language. Whatever the language you speak, whatever the medium you use, but if you try to discuss the aspects and subject matters of Supreme Lord, then it is far, far, far superior than anything else in this world. So you will ask, like, why Vedas itself attracted to devotees' speech? Because why this verse is dangerous to ego, because it destroys the scholarly pride, linguistic pride and ritual arrogance. As we may have seen, like many scholarly people, they perform their austerities, but we don't know, we are not sure like how much they are sincere in their loving efforts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in what they are meditating upon and what form they are meditating upon. And even though they attain that desired result, they are not satisfied with what they have accumulated. So this verse is very important to us. Now we are going to see why the talk of this woman who were on the rooftop of Hastinapura palace became higher than Vedas. Because these women or ladies were fully absorbed in glorifying Krishna and in discussing his pastimes with other fellow ladies or fellow peers. So they were not multitasking like us, they were not distracted. Jai Shri Shri Radha Sambhari, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladev, Subhadramaya, Jai Shri Shri Gaur. So they were completely discussing, they were completely focused on Krishna, and just by seeing him, they started glorifying about him, they started discussing about him. They are not doing any multitasking we think of something and we do something, and we term it as multitasking. And so how much efficient we are in that multitasking. We may not be 100% efficient in doing multitasking, and we may get distracted, but this woman does not get distracted and not physically present but mentally present everywhere elsewhere. Not physically present but mentally elsewhere, thinking about something and you are staying in something and you are doing something else. But these ladies, they were thinking of Krishna, they were completely absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna, and they were discussing among their peers. The only consciousness they have at that moment is Krishna. What to speak of Krishna, and what are his leelas, what are his pastimes, and they were just started glorifying continuously. So their absorption transformed ordinary speech into Shruti mantras. So how powerful is that? We may have known many ritualistic sacrifices which contains lots of Vedic mantras and lots of rituals, but by reciting that, even though if you perfectly recite the mantras, so how attentive and how effective are those mantras upon you, and do you understand the actual essence of that mantras, what the mantras are revealing to you? But here they were completely absorbed in Krishna. They know what just by seeing Krishna, they are able to convert their discussion and the thoughts into words, and they were just discussing, which is very, very opulent and very pleasing to Krishna. There are two types of sound existence, which is material sound, which binds the soul to this material world. This may come, examples comes under discussing various things their day-to-day routine things, and all material things, nonsensical things. And the other thing is spiritual sound, or the kirtanam, or glorifying Krishna, or engaging our speech and the thoughts of Krishna. So this causes the soul to be liberated from this material world and get out of these clutches of birth and death. So their talk directly, it belongs to the Goloka vibration category, because they were able to visualize Krishna. As they were seeing from rooftop, and just by seeing Krishna, their mind got engaged in Krishna and glorifying his transcendental leelas activities. So direct glorification beats indirect glorification. Upanishads, which gives indirect description of Brahman aspect of Supreme Personality of Godhead. But the gopis, who describe the face, smile, flute, compassion of Krishna, It's like even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself has revealed that gopis has the highest devotion of Krishna, and they were fully immersed in the Krishna prayer. And we also see in the Bhagavad Gita in chapter 15, text 15, Krishna says, Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivisto matta smriti jnanam apohanam cha vedaisa sarver ahameva vedyo vedanta krit veda vid eva chaham. So he is present as Paramatma, and he is the topmost, and he is the absolute personality, supreme personality of Godhead, and he is far more superior than Vedas. Because Vedas itself comes out from him. So how big and how most important is the Krishna than the Vedas, and how glorious is to discuss about him. So gopis lament a lot when Krishna left for Mathura with Akrura. Their crying became the highest Vedanta. As we see in Gopi Geet, how selflessly they prayed for Krishna and how intensely they cared for Krishna, that is being revealed in the Gopi Geet. Brahma himself becomes bewildered by their love. And they even in that Gopi Geet, they even says to Brahma, why have you given the eyelids due to which we cannot constantly gaze Krishna? We don't want this eyelids. Why have you created the eyelids? So they even say this to Brahma. So even when we see like modern analogy in a day-to-day life, when you compare a melodious pop music with mothers singing to her baby to make the baby sleep, which is more attractive? Some may say like the pop music, but to that baby, the mother's song which makes him sleep, that is the highest, because it has a pure love in that. Mother shows pure love on her son. So that talking, this becomes spiritual education, which is beyond any material mundane education which is from various universities. So another analogy to be revealed is like court judgment read without emotion versus mother crying for her lost child. Emotion commands attention, not a formal tone, because the intention, the emotion, the Lord sees our emotion, but not how perfectly you recite and how clearly you recite. Even a small child, like in initial days, he will chant in a broken voice, but still he is chanting with his pure heart, pure love to Krishna. That melts the heart of Krishna, and that pleases Krishna a lot. Rather, a great personality singing perfectly, like having just a small pinch of love, but just for the sake of singing perfectly without any grammatical mistakes or without any recitation mistakes. But the thing that Krishna sees is not perfection, but emotion and love. So important things to take from this section is like Krishna Katha is self-sufficient. Emotional absorption defines spiritual merit. Krishna is conquered by love, but not by any logic or any false theories. So next comes is like language is external, consciousness is everything. So Srila Prabhupada dismantles ritual elitism here, and also we have seen in the purport how Narottam Das Thakura, who is a not Sanskrit scholar, but yet his songs govern Gaudiya Bhakti today. We all know how many songs Narottam Das Thakura has composed. So even Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura confirms these songs are equal, no less than the Vedic authority. So how intense, how pure, with pure devotion and love he has composed that songs. And in this Kali Yuga, the major threat is like people reject bhakti if it is not in Sanskrit, and if it is if it is not complex, and if it is not traditionally looking. They see like bhakti is like something which is too complicated and which is more of Sanskrit knowledge, like Vedic knowledge. But Krishna never sees anything, he only expects and he only sees whether a devotee is showing his love and devotion towards him. Because he even says in Bhagavad Gita, like, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayashrati. So, he accepts anything that you offer with love and devotion, like flower, fruit, leaf, Tulsi Maharani that we offer to Krishna. It pleases Krishna a lot, rather than cooking a sumptuous meal of various hundreds and hundreds of varieties. You prepare a few dishes, a few bhoga, with intense pure heart and love, then Krishna gets pleased by that, your endeavor, and he showers his mercy upon us. He glances his mercy upon us. And in the further coming cantos, in 6th canto, we are going to see how Ajamila, a Brahmin, who accidentally chanted the holy name of Narayana and got liberated at the end and at the ending stage of his death, he actually uttered the name of his younger son because he was very much attached to him. But to the benefit of doubt, Lord Vishnu, immediately Lord Narayana sent his Vishnu Dutas to protect Ajamila from Yamadutas. And in Bhagavad Gita, as we have seen, like Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam, even leaf, flower, water is being accepted by Krishna. And in 12th canto, at last, this Shrimadbhagavatam is concluded by the importance of Harinam alone delivers in Kali Yuga. Hare Krishna, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nameva Kevalam, Kalau Nastieva, 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 Gati Ranyata. So this holy name, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, itself is the self-potent to deliver us from this material world in this Kali Yuga. And even I would like to share a story, like when once Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going out and he was going through a temple. There he found an old Brahman, and he was holding the Bhagavad Gita. Actually, he couldn't read properly Bhagavad Gita. He's holding Bhagavad Gita upside down, and like he was just seeing the picture of Arjuna and Krishna, and he was just lamenting, and he was just started crying. And when Chaitanya and all the other Brahmins, they were just chastising, and they were just making fun of this poor Brahman. And then when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu approached him and asked him, may I know why are you crying by seeing the Bhagavad Gita? Then the Brahman replied that, see, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know, like, I am not a highly literate person to read this Bhagavad Gita, but I feel very sorrow that Supreme Personality of Godhead, being in that supreme position, he is serving as chariot driver for Arjuna, such a menial service. So, how much he cares for his devotees and how much love he reciprocates with the devotees. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed that you got the real essence of Bhagavad Gita. What is the Bhagavad Gita actually saying? You got that. Even though if you are unable to read a single verse, but you have understood the real essence of Gita. So how important is that? Consciousness is very important rather than language. And Sanskrit, knowledge with even a tinge of ego creates a bondage with this material world. And even the broken language with the humility, love and devotion liberates us from this material world. So, one of the daily analogy is day-to-day analogy is we all use debit cards and credit cards. So, how fancy the credit card and how attractive or how designed, no one cares. If someone forgets the pin of that card, how can they use it? They are unable to use the pin, they are unable to use the card even though if it is fancy thing or very creative or very attractive. Some may say nowadays technology has improved the RFID, the touch and pay is there. But what about if it is not the touch and pay? Even sometimes if there is the value of that transaction is higher, then it may certainly ask you for PIN. So at that time, if you don't remember that PIN, then what is the use of that card? So this consciousness is compared to the PIN of that ATM card, and the language is just compared to that card body. So the PIN has got its own significance, and without the PIN, we cannot use the ATM card that effectively. And some of the key points to take is don't delay devotion, waiting for perfection. You may not have idea at what time and what age you will be attaining that perfection, but still daily try to make a little endeavors to your journey, and slowly Krishna, if you take slow steps towards Krishna, he takes further more steps towards you. Start your process of bhakti glorifying Krishna in singing his kirtans or discussing about his pastimes with other fellow devotees, and Krishna listens to our sincerity but not our accent or perfected voice. So next we are going to see how this Krishna Katha makes ordinary people extraordinary. So these ladies in the Hastinapura palace, those were not very highly positioned ladies or queens or something else. They were just homemakers, family caretakers, and they were just ordinary people. But spiritually, their discussion, their words has surpassed even the Brahmana's blessings. This transformation happens by grace, but not by some training or something. It's purely by the grace of Krishna and Guru that this transformation happens in us. And examples of personalities who have become ordinary to extraordinary by just engaging in the process of devotion there are a lot of examples, but a few examples could be as we have seen today, Ajamila, who is liberated by the holy name, Narayana, and Gajendra, who was liberated by helpless prayer, and Draupadi, who was saved by she was surrendered to Supreme Lord Krishna, and Shabari, we see in the Ramayana, who was accepted by love, but not by any qualification. So, this psychological truth is repeated talking, repeatedly discussing about something or about someone. It creates the good impressions in your memory. If you speak of any such mundane things, you will get those memories, all the silly chit chats or nonsense chats. That impressions will be stored in mind. But if you speak of Krishna and if you engage yourselves in discussing and glorifying Krishna and discussing this with other fellow devotees, slowly your faith will be increasing, and also your attachment towards Krishna is also increasing, and you slowly it even cleanses the dust that is being accumulated in our hearts, and slowly we can understand what is our true position, who we are and what we are supposed to do and whom we have to serve. Either we have to serve Maya or we have to serve Krishna. So we will get that clarity in thought, how well to serve Krishna and how best we have to give to make our path going back to Godhead more and more clear and smoother. So, Prabhupada quotes this analogy quite often. Like when you place an iron rod in the fire for a long time, at the high temperatures of that fire, slowly that iron rod, the tip of iron rod which you have inserted into the fire, that eventually after a long time, it becomes reddish hot, and whatever comes in contact with it, now it immediately burns away into ashes, because now it's no more iron, it's fire itself. So similarly, our tongue placed in Krishna Katha becomes purified by the time progresses. So the key takeaways from this important aspect is speech purifies or destroys spiritual life, because that's the reason we have to use our speech very wisely, and it's very important because it's the powerful weapon also. Because someone, if you even utter something to someone even in a casual tone, that you think in casual tone, but the other person who receives that may not be thinking the same as you think. So if they think in other way, and if they get hurt, that severely bothers you both. Like he gets bothered and he gets disturbed by your words, and that karma, that eventually you will have to face that karma. So we have to use speech wisely and better, like engage our speech as much as possible in discussing Krishna Katha, which purifies the heart. And Krishna Katha rapidly advances our spiritual identity. We will be able to realize what's our true nature and how best we can serve Krishna and what is our actual purpose of serving Krishna. And devotion spreads primarily through sound vibration, and even in the ancient time, sages and all the munis, they instructed their disciples, and they passed on the knowledge and education through words, shrutis. So if the authoritative is the Shabda Praman. Shabda Praman is the authoritative way of transferring knowledge. And the conclusion for today's verse is like, this verse is not history, but it is an instruction. Society today is full of political talk, financial fear, health anxiety, digital addiction, and various other mundane, polluted minds, and many material attachments towards that, to like visiting that, visiting this, eating that, eating this, thinking many things. But the actual thing is like Bhagavatam invites us to replace our mundane gossips with the glorification of Lord, and replace our anxiety with remembrance of the Lord, and replace our fear with surrender unto Supreme Personality of Godhead, lotus feet, which is the ultimate shelter for all of us, and which itself renders the greatest benediction for our humanity. And it's not even comparable to what many saintly people do austerities for years long. They achieve the Brahman, which they focus on Brahman effulgence, and they achieve that. But it's far more superior than that. Because when we are under the shelter of Krishna, everything is protected and taken care by Krishna. So we have to try to speak one Krishna topic daily, and share one verse weekly, and try to chant aloud when you are at home, and when you are at a secluded room, try to chant more and more clearly and loudly, because distraction can be even done like while you are chanting very lowly, or you may fall asleep, or you can't focus on the mantra. But mantra has that ability. So try to focus on the mantra and try to like read it aloud, and so that you can hear it properly without any misuttering or mispronouncing the mantra. So you will be able to know where to focus on your chanting when you chant alone. And also, while you are chanting, let people in the room, let them listen the mantra, so that just by listening mantra, their hearts slowly gets the change and slowly they get cleansed, and one day they eventually start the process very seriously just by hearing. That's the reason while we undertake the procession of Jagannath Swami during Rath Yatra, so many new people gets attracted to the kirtans and amazing darshan of deity on the procession, like Jagannath Swami, Baldev, Subhadra Mai. They get very attracted by them. So it's very important. Even hearing is most important aspect, because hearing, Shravanam, is the first step in the Navavida Bhakti, 9 processes of devotion. So the last analogy I would like to conclude is like, radio must be tuned to right frequency. Krishna Katha is the only frequency that enables us to reach Krishna Loka or Golok Vrindavan. So the final takeaways from this today's verse is like, Krishna Katha is the highest Vedic activity. Devotional emotion surpasses scholarly precision. Ordinary people become spiritually supreme by engaging their senses in Supreme Personality of Godhead. And sound is the fastest spiritual elevator. And this verse teaches us how to spiritualize speech itself. So we understand, so how simply they were just discussing about Krishna. So Krishna gets pleased by their simple words and the simple thoughts they were just focusing upon. So this reveals like how simple is the bhakti and how simple is glorifying Krishna to purify our hearts. And when devotees glorify Krishna, Krishna gets more and more pleased than he pays his attention to the Vedic mantras or scholarly people. So, thank you, Hare Krishna. Any comments, any realizations?
So, essence of the Vedic verse actually is to glorify Krishna. Like I had this Santa
Bhujagashayanam Padmanam Suresham Vishwaram Gaganasadrasam Meghavarnam Subhangam Lakshmi Kantanam Vande Shivavayaram Sarvadukhaikanatham. Yes.
In this verse also it's Vedic verse. It's glorifying Krishna only. Right?
Yeah, I mean the whole purpose of Vedas is
Vedas
is that.
So this message was beautifully depicted,
Yeah.
beautifully explained by you. Very, very grateful to hear that. Thank you for the effort.
Thank you, Prabhu. Grantraj Shrimadbhagavatam ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki
Jai.